Hi, Desiree. Hi, Gertrude. It's me again for synthesis. Oh, number 9. Holy moly, we're almost at the end. Today, I wanted to sing you a song again that means a great deal to me and I believe is very reminiscent of some of the topics that we've been talking about. And then I'll explain afterwards why I picked the song, etc. Um, so let's get into it. Home is behind, the world ahead, and there are many paths to tread, through shadow to the edge of night, until the stars are all alight. Mist and shadow, cloud and shade, all shall fade, all shall fade. Thank you very much. So, now to talk about it. What does this song mean? Well, this song was written as a acceptance of fate. Basically, the song was written to establish the idea of the character understanding that he and his people were going to die and that there was nothing he could do about it because everyone had already given up. And with the seriousness of the topics that we talked about today, with the highway that all of the missing Indigenous men and women have gone missing and murdered on, and learning about the police's thoughts on the process, basically being, well, it's not a serial killer, so there's nothing we can do about it. I couldn't help but make the connection of that giving up, and that sorrow that the song establishes, that the fact that everyone is giving up. It's another thing that white people have failed at. Excuse me. And I wanted to talk about how this topic has not gone unnoticed within the Indigenous communities. It's simply gone unnoticed with us, my communities, because the police gave up on it so quickly and so easily. And only now, like 30 years later, are they starting to pick up on it again after finally finding some people who they think committed the crimes. But there was a long period there where it was just, I'm sorry, we can't help you. And realizing that the Indigenous community has been practically abandoned by police and first responders, it bakes in that mistrust even more, and it bakes in that that disconnect for sure, but it bakes in that idea of this is it, and there's nothing that they'll do for us. To connect one more idea to this, last year there was an Indigenous woman who was sent to the hospital for she was having fainting spells, and she demanded to be seen, and many doctors had turned her away and wouldn't give her a reason why they turned her away. And eventually she got into this hospital where the nurse kept berating her and actually physically assaulted her. And the Indigenous woman was literally just trying to be given the same health care as everyone else. I'm very disappointed in saying that that woman died in hospital of a horrible, horrible infection that had spread throughout her body, and by the time they found her in the morning, she was well past gone. The nurse actively cussed her, assaulted her, beat her, and then abandoned her to die just because she was Indigenous. And this isn't like a thing where it's like, well, we don't really know if it was because she's Indigenous or blah, blah, blah. She said on video, slurs and fuck you and stuff like that. And while I could never put my place into that Indigenous person, nor would I ever try, I think about what I would do in that situation and what I would do in the situation of the highway and how I would handle that. And I think I would honestly sing this song because I think it would give me hope for myself, but also provide the acceptance that in this situation, I am alone. And that is due to the ignorance of these people and the stupidity of these people. This is a really sad topic, and I think this is the saddest one that I've had so far, saddest realization, because I didn't know too much about the highway. I did not know the amount of people who have gone missing and murdered on that highway, nor did I know the amount of Indigenous peoples who are actually abandoned by first responders because they're assumed to be alcoholics, assumed to be drug dealers or users, assumed that their indigeneity means that they don't want Western help, Western medicine help, Eurocentric Western medical help. I got there eventually. My apologies. And I can't help but imagine that there are a lot of Indigenous peoples who have this acceptance in them. The fact that they feel they're alone because that's what the world keeps showing them. And I was trying to think of, and in my research that I was doing, last year alone, it was over 10 Indigenous peoples who died in hospital because of negligence. And honestly, I'm sure it was well over that number. And I was trying to think of what I can do, because we talked a lot today about what can I do to help this. And I was thinking about this, and I came to the conclusion that the only thing I can do is donate, support Indigenous medical facilities, with Indigenous doctors and Indigenous nurses and Indigenous patients, to ensure that they're getting that care somewhere. But the fact that the Indigenous communities have been completely abandoned by the government, no ambulances, no police on their side, no paramedics on their side, not even doctors who take oaths to save any patient, no matter the race, no matter the sex, no matter the religion. I can't understand why this hate has been allowed to continue. And I think that's something that I've been struggling with even still in this class, is how does this ignorance turn into such blatant hate? And why? Where does this come from? And I think it comes from, like you said a long time ago, one, it not being taught. Two, it being passed down from parent to parent, to child. And three, the government doesn't do anything to make its people think otherwise. I think about when Quebec wanted to leave. The government snapped right in place when that happened in the 90s. They sent militia in. They passed treaties to try and get Quebec to stay. They tried to run multiple polls across the country to get people's opinions. But with the Indigenous community, it's silent. Trudeau and his other members have nothing to say. And I wonder if that comes from a place of lack of education or a place of acceptance. Almost like they want the Indigenous people to be treated less. Almost like That's what it's designed to do. And I think that this song eerily connects to The Highway. The song is made and is written about a person whose family is being sent into a war that he knows and they know they're not going to win and that they're all going to be slaughtered. And he sings this song as an acceptance to the fact that his family is going to be slaughtered. And I think that, unfortunately, the indigenous peoples are in a very similar situation where all they can do is sing, make art, be connected with one another, be connected with their spirituality, because no one else has their back and no one else wants to have their back. So what can I do? I am going to donate both my money and time to medical institutions, indigenous medical institutions around Canada, because if all people can't have this healthcare, why should I have it? You know, I in the last few months have had 2 MRIs, multiple CAT scans, have been to the hospital 8 separate times, have been seen by 8 different physicians, a neurosurgeon, and I'm not even dying, knock on wood. But there are people, indigenous peoples, in hospitals dying, and doctors and nurses don't do anything. That is unacceptable, and I'm going to do my best to try and put an end to it. So, the topic today is to break that acceptance. I am breaking that acceptance. The acceptance that there's nothing that can be done. The new pipeline, the Willow Project in America just passed, and when I saw that, I just accepted the fate that the world was going to end. But no, when we stop and accept, like this song, good people die. And I will not be like my forefathers. I will not. So, Desiree, if you happen to know of, and I have no idea if you do, and I did a bunch of research on it and found a few of myself, but if you happen to know of any Indigenous charities that are particularly in need right now, if you could let me know. I also did reach out to the Indigenous instructor at Brock, so I'm just waiting on an email back from them as well. It's time for me to actually get to help. Not just talk about helping and not just talk about ignorance, but break that ignorance and break that cycle. Because that cycle can only be broken with conversation so far. And sometimes that acceptance still creeps in at the end of these videos, that there really is nothing I can do to change the education system. There really is nothing I can do to help Indigenous writers and artists be able to share their thoughts and opinions. But there is. There always is. So that's my goal. And that's my promise that I make to both you, Gertrude, and this class. And by God, I better follow through. If you liked the song and liked the video, I really hope you did. I really look forward to seeing your comics. Comics? I look forward to seeing your comics on my thoughts, Desiree. I look forward to seeing your comments on the thoughts. And I also was having a debate as well, because when I was doing my Googling about charities and stuff, there were some sites that I came across that they only want Indigenous peoples to volunteer. So then I got the sort of worry that maybe it's not my place to volunteer because I'm not Indigenous and I can't relate to these subjects. But it was relating to specific trauma scenarios. I think that one was like a counseling scenario. So I'm going to be doing more research on how me can help. Not just talk about help, but help. And break that cycle of acceptance. I will be better than my forefathers, and I will use this song as a remembrance that there's always more we can do. And there's always more people we can help. and that sometimes we do just need to listen. Actually listen. I really hope you enjoyed the syntheses. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope you have a great week. Bye, guys.